Good afternoon, champions. And I call you champions because you're on this champion summit because you have one thing in mind. You want to win. And champions always win. You know, champions never quit and they continue moving on, finding a way to win in spite of all the difficulties and situations that are present in their life. You know, no one goes through life and has no issues, no problems, no circumstances. The circumstances make us better and they make us stronger. So what I want to share with you today is information for your transformation. Now, as I began to look around and just kind of unpack and just focus on the last couple of years, what I found is this: 2018 and 2019 were the year of shift. Everything, the whole focus was on shift from one point to the next, shift and allow us to be able to not continue in a direction that wasn't giving us the results that we wanted. So the shift said we had to have a mind shift. We had to have a reality shift. We had to have a relationship shift. We had to have a financial shift. We had to have a shift in our life that allows us to continue on a path that's going to take us to victory and not defeat. So shift was the buzzword. Everyone was talking about shift, and everyone had practices and different practices about how to achieve that shift. So 2018, 2019, all about the shift. That was the buzzword. Coming into 2020, everyone said, this is the year of plenty. This is the year that we'll be able to overcome everything and finally be able to win, finally be able to leave the corporate structure, finally be able to achieve the dreams and aspirations that we've held dear to our heart. Well, reality struck us. And an invisible enemy came in and just crippled the whole world, not just the nation, not just your part of the world, but the entire world. Put everything on pause and said, it's time for a reset. So as this reset has occurred, many people are sitting back and, initially they said, we can't have everyone working from home. It's just not possible. Now everyone's working from home, or most people. Your essential workers still have to go in. But today we find ourselves in a quandary. We find ourselves in a very difficult situation. And a lot of people find themselves stuck. They've lost jobs. They've seen their retirement income evaporate or at least dwindle. They've seen circumstances that are beyond their control, taking control of their lives, and now they're looking and saying, what's next? What can I do to improve my situation? Well, as a publishing coach, I've worked with over 200 aspiring authors, and we've created, as a result of working with GPS, we've been able to not only write and publish books, but launch them to bestseller status. And so now all of them, or the majority, are coming back and saying, John, hey, we thank you for what you did. You did an excellent job. We love our book. People are buying the book, and it's just great news. But we're not making the sustainable income that we thought that we would make. Remember the movie said, build it and they will come. Well, you wrote it, you published it, you built it, and they're just not coming. So that's the pain point that my clients are facing right now. And most people, and many people across the spectrum are facing as well. So I wanted to come before you today and just for a short period of time, talk to you about the new buzzword for 2020, which is pivot. All year, it's been about the pivot. We're in the middle of a truncated NBA season. And even in the midst of that, just recently, they decided that they were going to suspend play during the playoff because of, again, new circumstances on the national horizon. So here we are. But let's look at basketball as a motif. When the player goes out, and he has one goal in mind, and that's to make a goal, to make the basket, to shoot the basket into the net, into the goal, and score a point, whether it's 1 point, 2 points, or 3 points. He wants to make a point. So in the process of going down the court, dribbling the ball, he comes to a point where he has to make a decision. And that decision is to pivot. That means he has to plant his foot, take a look around, and access the entire situation and determine whether or not he wants to continue in the direction he was going, go in another direction, or in a different direction. And he does that by looking at the entire court, looking at the entire environment that he's in, and seeing if there's obstacles, obstructions, or situations in front of him that prevent him from getting the goal. And so that's where we are today. We have to make that pivot. And so I want to just share with you 5 points to the pivot that will take you to the next, to some other startling and incredible information. I want to share with you my top secret formula for success, the secret formula for success. And I want to share you just a couple of stories. So let's look at the word pivot. Pivot, from an acronym standpoint, has 5 points that are necessary in order to achieve and in order to allow it to be something that will transform you and allow you to be able to become the champion that you believe you are or that you want to be. So let's break it down. The P in pivot means preparation. You know, they say proper prior preparation produces perfect performance, and the operative word is proper. So you see, preparation means that you do all the research, all of the fact finding and the gathering necessary to publish a book. And we're talking about that a published book is the beginning of your being able to have a profitable business, to become a champion. You know, most of us have had some type of connection with corporate America, and we're ready to leave. We're ready to leave and just divorce corporate America and become an entrepreneur, a business person, and to make our own sources of income. So in order to create that book that gives you the look so that you can have the hook to become a profitable business, it begins with a published book. Let me ask you a question. What do Donald Trump, Barack Obama, and even Kamala Harris all have in common? All of them have published a book, and they use that book to leverage themselves, to scale themselves to another level on the national stage. And see, we subscribe to that same theory, that if you publish a book and do it properly, that you can position yourself to turn that book into a profitable business. And that's what we're talking about this morning. So I promise I won't be before you very long, but I will be before you strong enough to drive the point home so that you can make a decision for your own vision and to change the trajectory of your life. So that first the P in pivot means preparation, to prepare, do everything to get that book published. Once you've done that, the I in pivot means invitation. You've got the book published. It's wonderful. It meets all the criteria. Doesn't look homemade or doesn't look like it's an independent. It looks like a quality product, and people looking at it will say, "Hey, I want to be involved with the writer, the publisher, the author of this book." And the next point is invitation. Now that you've done your preparation and you've produced the book, now you want to invite your family, friends, and relatives, social media. You want to invite as many people as possible to take a look at your book, because when they take a look, they'll grab the hook, or the hook will grab them and bring them into your sphere, bring them into your life, bring them into your world, so that you're coming closer to having a profitable business and turning that published book into a profitable business. Well, that brings us to the next point in pivot, which is V for validation. You see, the validation is in the actual creation of the book itself. The validation says that I'm worthy, that I have something of value and significance to share with you in this book. And as a result of you reading it, you'll be able to achieve and receive that information that will cause your transformation, that will cause you to grow and flow and become what you need to do or to become in order to win in life and to be the champion that you are. So the validation, it comes from two sources, actually. It comes extraneous or from the outside. When they look at the outside, your book it looks good, it reads well, the content is great, everything is wonderful, and it has value and significance. But the other part of validation comes from the inside. You see, most people are looking for someone else to validate them, for someone else to see their value, for someone else to recognize their significance. And it won't happen until you recognize your own value, until you recognize your own significance, until you recognize that you were born worthy, and it's now time for you to validate your own self so that you can go to the next level, which is organization. Okay, think about this. Preparation has occurred. your book is published. Invitation has gone out, and people are looking at it, and they're taking a look and getting the hook. Validation has taken place on two levels, from the outside and from the inside. And now the organization says, hey, we need to put this into a proper sequence and flow in order for you to go to the next level, which is a profitable business. Now, let me digress for a moment and just share my secret formula. I said if we waited to the end, I would give you that secret formula. But what's going to happen at the end, I'm going to bless you with a resource that will help you to pivot to publish for profit. So that's going to be a free resource that's available when you listen to the end. But let me give you that formula right now, because at this point in the game, in this pivot process, in the organization aspect, you need to understand the formula so that it will allow you to be able to organize properly so that you can go to that next point, which is a profitable business. And that's what we're here for. We're champions. We want to turn our entrepreneurial insight and focus and desire into something that's not only real and relevant, but also revenue sensitive enough that it brings the many avenues of revenue that's available to a published author into being. So this formula is this: PB plus PB times PB equals PB. Now, at this point in the game, the only question should be, what is PB? So I'm glad you asked. PB means a published book plus a polished brand times a proven blueprint equals a profitable business. So we've already talked about the published book. That's the easy part. With today's technology, anybody can publish a book. As a matter of fact, our mantra is everybody has a book in them that somebody needs to read and wants to read. Anybody can publish a book with today's technology, but nobody can read a book that's never been written or never been published. So that's done. The published book is the easy part. Get with me if you need more information or help on that. But the second part is that polished brand, and that's where the organization comes into being. We want to polish the brand. And a polished brand means when someone comes to your website, when someone comes to your social media sources, when someone sees you in print, your graphics, your fonts, everything about you screams professional, screams polished, screams, this is a person that I'm willing to spend my dollars with, to spend my time with, which is another form of currency, and to spend my influence with, to share my platform with, because this person has what I'm looking for. So as a result of that polishing of the brand, that allows me, that's the organization necessary to take me to the final point, which is transformation. You see, transformation occurs when you go from where you are to where you want to be or where you desire to be. Transformation occurs because the third aspect of the PB plus PB times PB equals PB comes into effect. And that is the proven blueprint. Transformation occurs when you implement the proven blueprint. An architect crafts and sketches and draws out plans for a building, a house or a commercial building or what have you. So as he creates these plans, they are printed into what's called a blueprint. And that blueprint tells the contractor, the laborers, tells the foreman, tells everyone what to do next, what is necessary and required in order to build and construct and erect that building. The same thing with your profitable business. You need a blueprint, and that blueprint is going to be something that's proven, something that's worked before and worked before. They say the wheel is round and it works. Don't try to reinvent it. Try to implement it so that it gives you the results that you're looking for. So we're talking about pivot. We're talking about getting that profitable business, because you, as a champion, needs to be able to look up and people will say, hey, I worked with this person, and their programs, their offerings allowed me to go to the next level. It allowed me to scale, and scale is what champions want to do. If you're a champion, that means that you're a winner, and winners win because they have the the proven blueprint to go to the next step. If that's working out, doing whatever is necessary to go to the next level. So let's talk about pivot. We talked about the preparation, the invitation, the validation, the organization, the transformation. Let me just give you a quick story about pivot, about my great-grandmother. She was 113 years old when she died. We all called her Grand Sue. Everybody else called her Aunt Sue, white, black, and indifferent. Now, she owned about 500 acres of cotton land in the panhandle of Florida, right below Alabama. And she would plant cotton, she would pick cotton, and she would profit from the sale of cotton. She's only about 5 foot tall, but she could pick more cotton at age 100 than most people could at 50 or 60. At 100 years old, she went back to school to learn how to write her name because she'd just been putting an X, and people were taking advantage of that. But that's a whole nother story. In this little town called Two Egg, there was only about 500 people in the entire community. All of them were farmers, so it was an agrarian community. And in that little town of Two Egg, Florida, my grandmother was raising cotton every year, year after year. She was planting it, picking it, profiting from it. And then she discovered, as did all the rest of the residents in the area, that that over the years, the yield or the cotton crop began to get less and less productive. And it was because the cotton was absorbing all the nutrients from the ground. Now they start using guano, which was a form of fertilizer, and it still wasn't producing the crop that she needed to produce, or in order to sustain her life and have that profitable business. So Grandma Sue was a wise old lady, a wise old woman, and she went to the county agent. His name was Boxy Golf, and the Boxy Golf also doubled as the sheriff of the county. And Boxy Golf looked at him and said, "Grandma Sue?" He said, "Ain't Sue?" So let me tell you. He says, "You can't keep planting cotton all the time because it's robbing the earth and the soil of the nutrients. You need to diversify your crop. And so in the diversification, you need to plant some peanuts, some tobacco, maybe some soybeans." Well, she didn't smoke, so she didn't want to plant the tobacco. Later on, she did. But she decided to plant peanuts. And when she planted these peanuts, they grew. They was able to pick the peanuts or harvest the peanuts. And she sold the peanuts for a great profit. The farm was saved. Everybody was happy. But there was something else that happened as a result of her making that pivot. There was a second crop or second harvest that was available as a result of the peanut crop. And that was, guess what? That the peanut plant produced a edible product for farmers to feed their livestock. And so they baled that as hay, and the hay was now able to be sold, and she had a second income crop. So she had multiple avenues of revenue, and life was wonderful. Now, I tell you that because she looked at her situation. She looked at the difficulty that she was facing, and she realized that she needed to pivot. So she took a look at this direction and said, if I continue going in this direction and planting cotton, it's going to rob all the nutrients, and I'm just going to actually be planting and not getting the return I need to be able to have a profitable business and a sustainable lifestyle. So she decided that she was going to pivot and plant a new product. And that's what we have to do in life. If we want to be successful, if the direction that we're going is not giving us the results that we want, we have to look up and say, what's the best direction to go in? And the only way that you can figure that out is that you pivot. So that means that as you plant that foot and you take a look around, you say, what's the best way? Maybe this way, maybe that way. Whatever way has the obstruction is not the way to go. Whatever way has an obstacle, we want to be able to go around it. And so you pivot around it. You know, Napoleon Hill, in his epic book, Think and Grow Rich, had a pivot moment. There was a situation where a man had purchased a gold mine and bought all the tools and equipment necessary to mine gold. And he had a great and incredible gold mine, and he was counting the results, and he knew that his future was great. And then all of a sudden, it stopped. Ran out of gold. So he did the same thing that my great-grandma Sue did. He went to an expert, to an engineer, and the engineer said, well, now, son, he said, that's a fault line. And if you dig about 20 feet beyond that, you'll find probably one of the most incredible veins of gold that you can even imagine. Well, he went back, found it to be true, and he had bought. Well, no, I'll take that back. What he had done, what had happened was when he ran out, when the original owner ran out of gold, he sold it for pennies on the dollar. The new owner went to the geologist and to the engineer, and that's when he discovered that there was a fault line. And at that fault line, 20 feet further, he dug and he found a rich treasure trove of gold. His family lived successfully, his family's family. And that's what a pivot does. A pivot allows your children's children to enjoy the benefit of your wise decision. Listen, we want to look at your past brokenness, and we want to look at your passionate beliefs. And those are the PBs in life, the past brokenness and the passionate beliefs. And we want to show you how you can turn that into a published book. So turn your past brokenness and passionate beliefs into a published book, because your expertise, your experiences, the examples you lived in life, the education that you've been able to generate as a result of living, all of that can be packaged into a published book or several published books, so that now that you have that published book, you can use the pivot system to allow you to now go to polish your brand, to find a proven blueprint so that you can have a profitable business. And as a champion, that's what you're looking for. You're looking for that profitable business. So I told you I wouldn't be before you very long, and I hope that I haven't bored you, but I want to share this with you. If you want to turn your published book into a profitable business, then I want you to click on the link below, and you'll be taken to a spot or to a site where you can download my free resource that's called Pivot to Publish for Profit. Pivot to Publish for Profit. And in this free ebook, it's going to show you how you can, number one, why and how to pivot, how and why to publish, and it will show you how and where and when to profit. There are over 18 avenues of revenue available for a published author. And the three main areas are coaching, consulting, and course creation. So with that being said, I don't want to take up any more of your time. I thank you for being here with me so far, and make sure that you click the link below and get your free resource, because you are a champion, and champions never quit, and they always continually learn. Have an awesome day.